Hello and welcome to another wonderful day right here on Oweleketv. It is time for Outnumbered, and I just want to say it is a beautiful day again to bring you to speed with the headlines for the day. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, I have Antonia Nwokolo right here. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
I also have Christopher Sunday right here. Good morning, Christopher.
Good morning, the man with two eyes.
All
morning,
right, let's quickly bring you to speed with the headlines that we have for today. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning from the Nigerian Tribune, and from the Nigerian Tribune above the head, I have this headline which says, Senate to federal government, don't increase electricity tariff. Okay, details of that you can get on page 17. Then still above the header, federal government set to begin direct cash transfer to 15 million Nigerians. How sincere and how possible can this be? How would you be able to figure out these Nigerians that actually need this money, and what will 15 million naira do to Nigerians looking at the hardship on ground? Details of that you can actually get on page 14 of the Nigerian Tribune, and the big story from the Nigerian Tribune this morning, which is on page 14, says Naira crisis. EFCC raised Bureau de Change operators in Abuja, Ibadan, and Kano State. Well, I don't know. The constant fall of Naira, who is to be held responsible? CBN or the Bureau de Change? But then, they are all actors in the game anyway. And finally, from the Nigerian Tribune, let's look at this one, which says Emefiele threatened to sue Akpabio for 25 billion naira over alleged defamation. You can get the details of that on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, and that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Let's quickly move to the next paper, which is going to be coming from Christopher.
All right. From the Guardian newspaper, Customs 5 trillion target threatens trade, heightens price crisis. 5 banks in payment charges hit 580 billion in 5 months. Abiro arrested in Edo State as aggrieved candidates seek his prosecution. Borno engages monarchs on reintegration of repentant terrorists. And then the biggest story on The Guardian this morning is petrol queues spread nationwide as Ipman and Mayman blame supply distribution. That will be the size of our story from The Guardian newspaper this morning. Over to you, Antonia.
Thank you, Christopher. All right, on the This Day newspaper, Tinubu requires more time to perform. Gowon pleads with angry Nigerians. The rider underneath says, Gowon wants ECOWAS to lift sanctions on Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, withdrawal of exit notice. The story continues on page 32 of This Day newspaper. The next headline will be taken, Edo APC gubernatorial primary crisis claims Uzodinma party picks Otu as replacement. And the rider underneath says, as Labour Party National Chairman Abure arrested in Edo by police and DSS. The story is on page 35 of This Day newspaper. Now, the last headline will be taken. That is the big story on This Day newspaper. Who will save the Naira? Manufacturers cry out. The world's preferential foreign exchange allocation. The riders underneath said, less than 20% of foreign exchange requirements available in banks. Concerns mount over crypto speculation as Naira sustains free fall at parallel market, now at 1,920 Naira to $1. EFCC arrests BDC operators in Kano and Ibadan. So that's the size of the headlines to be taken from This Day newspaper.
All right, the last paper that we will be taking today on the review is the Nigerian News Direct. And I have this story ahead above the header, which says police arrest and battled Labour Party National Chairman over alleged attempted murder of youth leader. Then blame game That's another story right here. Emefiele demands 25 million naira for defamation, accuses Akpabio of being complicit in Nigeria's economic woes. Well, this is more like a game, like it's been said here. It's a blame game. They are beginning to point accusing fingers on themselves. But then, at the end of the day, I know nemesis. It may not be immediately, but it's going to start catching up with some persons. And Nigerians will actually know the truth. And everyone behind the woes and the hardship in Nigeria at this point in time. Finally, from the Nigerian News Direct this morning, economic hardship, which is actually the big story. Federal government to expand cash transfers to aid 12 million households amid rising cost. Just one rider to that story. CBN implements measures to stabilize Naira, combat inflation. You can get the details of that on page 11 of the Nigerian News Direct. And this is going to be the size of the review this morning. We want to go on a quick break. After this break, we're returning back with a big story. And I tell you the truth, it is actually a big story. Don't go nowhere. We will be back after this break. Ramsey, Antonia, and Christopher.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleket.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
It's so beautiful to know that you are still there in front of your screen. Well, it is still outnumbered, and this is the time for the big story. When we say a story is big on outnumbered, you know what we're talking about. All right, let's talk about the state of the nation at this very particular point in time. Statements have been made in the past, and there is yet another statement coming this morning. Tinubu gave governors 30 billion naira each to address food shortage. Were you aware? Let me ask. I don't know. Were you aware? Are you aware of this?
I just heard from you.
So I don't know. You know the ladies they get to
They get what?
Yeah,
they
because
get information
they are
from
always
time.
the first to get the alert.
They're always, anything
always
that has to do with alerts.
Alerts.
They
The
are
ladies
different.
get it
They are
first.
alert
Men
conscious.
don't get alert.
No,
No,
the women are so curious about it.
Really?
No, if you say that you're just curious, it means
It's an understatement.
Yes, they are always in alert.
No.
They-
it's both
they're always
ways.
getting
It's
alert.
both
They are
ways.
always.
But in this particular one, I'm just hearing it.
You're just hearing.
Yes.
You've not gotten any
I've
alert
not
yet.
gotten any alert.
All right. This is coming from someone at the top. All right. Let's go through the story a little bit so that you can get an insight into what this statement is all about. Tinubu gave governors 30 billion naira each to address food shortage. I don't know how much food you have at home, but then the lead to that story said President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has affirmed that every governor had been allocated extra 30 billion naira to address the food scarcity and hardship confronting Nigerians. According to the information, he advised the states to judiciously utilize the fund. Okay, and as a matter of fact, last September, the federal government said 2 billion naira was released to governors out of the 5 billion naira loan it offered to each state as palliative to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. As a matter of fact, I, for one, personally, am yet to get anything like palliative, all right, as far as the subsidy removal is concerned. But then, subsidy was removed, and this is money that run into trillions, but we've not been able to get a proper accountability for this money. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are going through so much. You remember what happened during December? They said rice was given to
House of Rep.
to House of Rep members
and
to share to their
senators.
constituencies. But then we heard a story, except for some states where they said it was shared. But most of these things are audio promises, audio statements. We don't get to see the reality and the manifestation of it. I'm a Nigerian, of course. I never got anything. So let's add our voice to this conversation. For how long, all right, would we be hearing this, Antonia? As a matter of fact, let's begin from here. We've heard this is coming from the Senate president, all right?
Yeah.
But then, what we need right now, is it giving people money or stabilizing the economy? Make food accessible to the people. I'm talking to you as a Nigerian now. What would just speak for the women? What do you think? Yeah, anything that has to do with food, the women are always in the kitchen. We have the working class and all of that. But anything that has to do with food, they are more concerned and more passionate because the caring nature of the women, because they want, when you are hungry around a woman, there's a way she feels bad about it. So add your voice to this conversation. What do you think about this?
Okay, so first of all, Nigerians or the government makes promises. We hear of these, okay, you can imagine 2 billion was released to governors out of the 5 billion loan. We just hear these numbers. But we don't have, there are no proofs to show that these monies were actually released and they were judiciously used. Now, bringing out this money, over 30 billion you've given to governors. We don't need this. Yes, the money would cushion the effect, but then these are not long-term solutions to the problems we have in Nigeria. This is just going to, if you judiciously use, it's just going to solve the situation for a bit. And then the real problems will still emerge. This is just like someone having body odor and you're using body spray to cover up the body odor instead of you taking a proper bath or developing personal hygiene. So the government needs to find a way to stabilize the economy of Nigeria. Once the economy is stabilized and these palliatives or allocations are made to state governors and local government. Now, will the state governments even make use of this money? This money ought to trickle down to the local government area because the local government chairman are the ones at the grassroots. So every part of the state gets a share of this.
All right. I think every part of the state should get a share of this. And one thing again, how is it being supervised if this money was actually given out? What is the follow-up mechanism? Most times, Christopher, we hear in this country that this amount and that amount has been given out. Number one, we don't have a proper supervision. That's one now. Then secondly, let's talk about Akpabio. Akpabio is coming out to say this now, that 30 billion was released to each governor by the president, all right, to address food shortage and the hardship in this country. In one of the papers yesterday, he said, well, the protest about hardship is being sponsored by some persons, as if he's not in Nigeria. Today he's coming out to say a different thing. What do you think, number one, of the personality of Akpabio and this statement?
I think we have to forget about the personality of Akpabio now. In logic, there is what we call argumentum ad hominem, attacking the person instead of attacking the subject. The subject matter here is 30 billion given to each state governor. Is it true or is it false? The answer is, it is true. Remember about a week ago or thereabout, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria summoned all the 36 state governors to the presidential villa for them to sit and discuss the way forward out of this hardship. And after that, at least I am very, very sure that from this 30 billion, it is from this 30 billion that some of the state governors bought bags of rice. Well, my state, in Kogi State now, if you go to Muhammadu Buhari's, what's it called, Civic Center now, in Lokoja, you will see bags of rice in their thousands that has been distributed to the 21 local government of Kogi State. Some are still there. They have not come to collect theirs because of they need clearance, But again, the real issue.
What clearance?
Yeah, of course. I don't know the what's it called? the pattern. I don't know the pattern.
Because
of the
you
solution.
talked about Kogi State. I just don't want this program to be prolonged, because I heard someone had called me personally from Agojoiju in Kogi State.
Agojeju.
Yes,
that is enough local government.
and the person said, well, the rice that was brought, what happened in Kogi State is that if you are not a member of their party, they don't give you.
No,
This is someone that I know.
Now, by
Okay,
privilege.
so if you want to talk
by
about Kogi
privilege,
State.
by privilege, I am very, very close to the local government chairman of Ofu. In fact, the last person I spoke to yesterday is, before I went to bed, is the local government chairman, Ofu local government chairman, Honorable Sani Hassan Atawodi. So, and I also called his essay to ask why is the rice for Ofu not there, and they told me the reasons, and which I don't need to start saying it on TV now. But the truth of the matter is that the 30 billion naira, I am sure that the 30 billion naira that they gave to each state government or governor is what they are using to buy this rice. But that is not the problem. My problem is that, see, I was at the radio house about 3 weeks ago, where the Minister of Agriculture also said that there is going to be free rice. Now, is it from that 30 billion naira? Is it part of the 30 billion? Or this is another thing entirely? But and then we asked the Minister of Agri to tell us what are the sharing formula. Now, and then they said that they are collaborating with the National Bureau of Statistics and Civil Defense or whatever for them to give them the statistics of Nigeria. So as big as Nigeria is, we do not even know our number. We don't even know our statistics.
So
now,
that's where the game is coming in. It's a game. These things are game.
The question now is that how will you be sharing money or palliative without even knowing the statistics of your people? What happens to the big?
In fact, like Sonia said, what we need right now is not just sharing money, because we need a long-term solution, not just sharing money to the people. How much will you give to someone now? Okay, that will sustain the person. Go to the market and get to know the price of commodity. The person will come back again begging. What they do in this country?
I was on phone with Antonia yesterday. Something I bought about 3 years ago for just about 7,000.
No, that's a long time. 3 years is long. As I'm
talking to you now, it's almost 25,000 naira.
3 years is long. Just talk about hours. Just talk about days.
Morning and in the afternoon.
Morning and in the afternoon. The prices
as a matter of fact,
skyrocketing
the person told me that, bro, if you leave today, the price I'm giving you now.
Sure, it's true.
The price I'm giving you now may change tomorrow.
That is true.
And it's going up.
That is true.
So we need to do, it's not all about sharing money.
No, don't share money.
Is not the solution we
don't
need now.
Give the people fish.
Because let me also tell you,
as
you give that money, as you give the money, as it's coming from the top, coming down, as it's going down,
they are slashing it.
They are slashing it from the government.
See, we can't exhaust talking about these issues, but then the federal government should be wiser. All right. I think that's what I just have to say. They should be wise, because this money you say you've given out, we don't know where the money is. We don't know who is benefiting from it. Some persons are saying because they are not party members, because they are not caucus and all of that. We know what happened in Plateau State, all right? When they say they were sharing money for the poor people, we saw the poor people there that were collecting the money. Someone came out to talk about that. Well, we won't want to talk about all of this today because of our time. But then I think what the federal government should do is don't just put up a short-term solution, but we need a long-term solution to this crisis, to this hardship. Thank you very much for being part of today's review. Antonia, thank you very much for adding your voice to the conversation. And Christopher, thank you for adding your voice to the conversation. My name is Ramsey Enoch. We will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.